Here we are going to talk about a new term which is called biome. What's the biome? It's the large region of the world that has similar soil, similar climate, similar plants, and similar animals. It means the similar conditions in surviving. So when we're talking about the desert, that's a biome. And rainforests, it's similar conditions. Wetland, forests, and also the grassland. Okay? Water that covers the earth may be salt water and maybe fresh water. The salt water forms about 96.5% on the earth. It's found in oceans, seas, gulfs, and some lakes. And the rest, like 3.5%, is a fresh water. And we can find it in rivers, rainwater, groundwater, and most of the lakes. Most of the fresh water on earth is not found in liquid or running water, but is found in frozen water, as the large pieces of ice known as glaciers. The groundwater is water that lies under the earth, this is the definition, and has been leaked into the earth through a layer of porous rocks, forming what is known as an aquifer. Hydrosphere and biosphere interaction as this picture. Plants need water to survive, humans drink water to survive, animals drink water to survive, and water is the habitat for fishes. The water ecosystem is also called aquatic ecosystem. Got two types, we have said salty water and fresh water. Salt water like oceans, which is the largest salt water ecosystem. And also we can divide the salt water into two categories, shallow areas and deep areas. In the shallow areas, it contains the coral reef and intertidal zones. What's the intertidal zones? It's the high tide and the low tide of water. Deep areas, what's meant by deep areas? Areas that called abyssal zones, which are very deep areas in the ocean, so that the sunlight cannot reach them. So it's dark there. Intertidal zones definition, it's the area along the coast that disappears underwater at high tide and appears at low tide. Examples of saltwater ecosystem, the saltwater lakes like Lake Assal in Djibouti. It's an example of the salt water. It consists of high concentration of natural salts, so it's too salty for the fish and for the plants to grow in this area. So few plants can grow only. Many different types of bacteria live in Lake Assal. Lake Pradaway, it's found in Egypt, and also it's a salt lake. What about the fresh water? It consists of ponds and lakes and consists of flowing water bodies. What's the pond and lakes? Lakes that is present all of the year, but in hot summer time it dried up. Like Lake Nasser, it's a fresh water in Egypt, freshwater lake in Egypt. What about the rivers? Rivers like Nile River or the streams. Streams means small bodies of flowing water. This water is always in action of moving. And many plants and animals lives in the streams and rivers. There are different types of aquatic systems. First, we will talk about the ponds. We said that it's a fresh water and it's a still water like lakes. So the plants that live or the species that lives in ponds like a plant called water lilies. What's the water lilies? It's a plants that live in water. Its leaves is on the water surfaces. And some types of animals like the worms, like this leeches. And salamanders like the pitcher and the frogs. Second, we have streams. Streams is a fresh water, and the water movement in the streams is a running water. Water in streams are cool and flow fast. What are the species that lives in the streams? Catfish, or salmon, which is called trout. Third, we have oceans and seas. Oceans and seas, the type of water is salty water. The water movement constantly moving in a form of waves. And what is the species that live in oceans? Like kelp, as you can see in the picture, dolphins, sharks, starfish, Moses fish. The movement of the oceans, or the circulation of oceans water around the world, is in the pattern of ocean currents.